Clint Eastwood had a confirmed reservation when a wealthy couple demanded that the manager give them his table. "We are regular customers. He is just an old man." When the manager approached Clint nervously, what happened next left the entire restaurant silent and caused the manager to be fired. It was a Saturday night in April 2019, and Clint Eastwood had made a reservation for 7 p.m. at Bella Notte, an exclusive Italian restaurant in West Hollywood. He was going to have dinner with his son Kyle, a rare opportunity to catch up since Kyle had been traveling for work. Clint had called that same morning, made the reservation under his name, and confirmed the time. Bella Notte was the kind of restaurant where reservations were essential, especially on weekends. It was elegant without being pretentious, known for its authentic Italian cuisine and a calm atmosphere that attracted people looking for good food and conversation, not to be seen. Clint arrived at 6:55, dressed in his usual style, clean but casual, a button-down shirt, dress pants, no tie. At 89 years old, he had long stopped dressing to impress anyone. The hostess, a young woman named Sophia, greeted him warmly. "Mr. Eastwood, your table is ready." His son called to say that he would be delayed about 15 minutes from the airport. "No problem. I will wait at the table." Sophia led him to a booth in the corner, one of the best tables in the restaurant, with a view of the garden and enough privacy for conversation. Clint settled in, ordered a glass of wine, and relaxed. 10 minutes later, at 7:05, a couple entered Bella Notte without a reservation. Richard and Amanda Hastings were in their mid-50s, dressed expensively, and carrying themselves with the confidence and entitlement of people who were used to getting their way. Richard was a real estate developer who had amassed a fortune during the previous decade. Amanda was an interior designer, and among her clients were several celebrities. They considered themselves sophisticated, well-connected, and above the ordinary rules that applied to regular people. "We need a table for two," Richard told Sophia at the reception desk. Sophia checked her reservation book. "I am very sorry, sir. We are completely full tonight. We have availability for tomorrow." "We do not want tomorrow," Amanda cut in. "We dine here every week. We spend thousands of dollars at this restaurant. Can you find us a table?" Sophia, 23 years old and in her first year at Bella Notte, felt the pressure. "Let me check with the manager." She found Marcos Webb, the restaurant's floor manager. Marcos was 31 years old, ambitious, and had been at Bella Notte for 3 years. He wanted to be promoted to general manager, and part of that meant keeping high-spending customers happy. "The Hastings are here without a reservation," Sophia said. "They insist that we find them a table." Marcos knew the Hastings. They dined there regularly, perhaps twice a month, and yes, they spent money. But more importantly, they had connections. Amanda had referred several celebrity clients to the restaurant. Richard knew the restaurant critic of the Los Angeles Times. They were the type of customers who could help or hurt the restaurant's reputation. "We are full," Marcos said, but he was already scanning the dining room for options. His eyes landed on the corner booth where Clint was sitting alone, drinking wine, waiting for his son. "That table," Richard said, following Marcos's gaze. "That old man is alone. He does not need a booth. Move him to the bar or to a small table." Marcos hesitated. He knew that table had a reservation, but he did not know whose it was. Sophia had seated someone, but in the rush of Saturday night service, Marcos had not checked the name. "Sir, that table has a reservation." "We are regular customers," Amanda said, raising her voice. "We spend a lot of money here. That man is just an old man sitting alone. We are a couple. We need that booth." Make a move. Marcos made a decision that he would regret for the rest of his career. He decided that keeping the Hastings happy was more important than honoring the reservation that old man had. "Let me handle this," Marcos said to Sophia, who was uncomfortable with the whole situation. Marcos walked across the dining room toward Clint's table. Clint was reading something on his phone, calm, unbothered. Marcos noticed that he was dressed casually. It was not the typical attire for dining in West Hollywood, and he assumed he was probably someone's grandfather, perhaps a neighbor who did not understand that Bella Notte had become fashionable. "Excuse me, sir," Marcos said, offering his professional smile. "I am Marcos, the floor manager." I apologize, but we have a situation. We have regular customers who need this table, and I was wondering if you would be willing to move to another one. We have a nice table for two available near the kitchen, or you can sit at the bar if you prefer. Clint looked up from his phone. He did not seem angry, just slightly surprised. I have a reservation for this table, 7 p.m. for 2 people. Yes, I understand, sir, but these are preferred customers who spend a lot of money here. I am sure you understand. The bar has a full menu, and I have a reservation. Clint repeated in the same tone. I made it this morning for 7 p.m. for this table. Marcos felt the pressure from the Hastings watching from across the room and made his second mistake of the night. Sir, I am trying to be accommodating. These guests are regulars. They are important to our business. You are dining alone. Well, you said it was for 2, but I only see 1 person, so you do not really need a booth. I am asking as a courtesy that you move to a more suitable table. Clint put down his phone. He looked at Marcos with that steady gaze that had intimidated people in movies for 60 years and had intimidated people in real life for even longer. More suitable for whom? Marcos realized he had stepped into something, but he did not know how to step back without appearing weak in front of the Hastings. Sir, I am not trying to be difficult. I am just trying to accommodate all our customers. You are asking me to give up my reserved table to give it to people who did not bother to make a reservation. The conversation was unfolding in a normal tone of voice, but in a restaurant with good acoustics and attentive diners, people were beginning to notice. The tables closest to Clint's booth had gone silent. People were watching. At that moment, Giovanni Russo, the owner of Bella Note, came out of the kitchen. Giovanni was 63 years old. He had opened Bella Note 15 years earlier and ran it with pride. He prided himself on treating all customers well, whether they were famous or ordinary people. Giovanni immediately sensed the attention. He saw Marcos standing next to a table. He saw the customer sitting calmly, but with a posture that indicated he was not pleased, and he saw Richard and Amanda Hastings watching from near the reception desk with expectant expressions. As Giovanni approached, he recognized the man Marcos was speaking to and turned pale. Marcos, Giovanni said sharply. Step away from that table right now. Marcos turned, confused. Mr. Russo, I was just trying to step away, Giovanni repeated, his voice low but firm. Marcos moved away from the table, not knowing what was happening. Giovanni approached Clint, and his attitude changed completely. He looked mortified. Mr. Eastwood, I apologize. I do not know what is happening here, but whatever it is, I am deeply sorry. The restaurant was not completely silent yet, but it was becoming so. The name Eastwood had echoed through the room. People at nearby tables were turning to look. Someone whispered, Is that Clint Eastwood? Clint nodded at Giovanni. Your manager was asking me to give up my reserved table to accommodate some guests who do not have a reservation. Giovanni's face went from pale to red. He turned to Marcos. You asked Mr. Eastwood to move? Marcos realized his mistake now, but it was too late. I did not know who he was. They are regular customers and wanted this table, Giovanni said, his voice trembling with anger. Regular customers, without a reservation, and you asked Mr. Eastwood, who did have a reservation, to move for them? Go to my office right now. Marcos walked away, his face burning. Sophia, the hostess, looked like she wanted to disappear. The Hastings, realizing that something had gone terribly wrong, were beginning to understand who they had tried to displace. If you like stories where justice prevails and respect triumphs over arrogance, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell so you do not miss any story. Let us continue. Giovanni turned back to Clint. Mr. Eastwood, I am so sorry. Your table is yours. Of course your reservation was made, confirmed, and must be honored. This never should have happened. The restaurant was now completely silent. All the diners were watching. It was no longer just curiosity. They were witnessing something significant. Clint spoke calmly, but his voice carried in the silence. Giovanni, your manager told me that other guests were more important to your business than I am. He called them preferred customers. He suggested that the bar would be more appropriate for me. Giovanni looked as if he were about to cry. That is not how we run this restaurant. That is not what we believe. All customers are valued here. Then why did he say otherwise? Giovanni had no good answer. He turned to face the dining room. Richard and Amanda Hastings were still standing near the hostess stand, the only ones who had not understood that they should leave. Which guests were more important than Mr. Eastwood? Giovanni asked loudly enough for everyone to hear. Someone at a nearby table said quietly, "The couple at the entrance." All eyes turned to the Hastings. Amanda looked at Richard. Richard looked at the floor. Giovanni crossed the dining room toward them. The entire restaurant was watching. "Did you demand this table?" Giovanni asked. Richard cleared his throat. "We dine here regularly. We did not think it would be a problem. And you told my manager to move Mr. Eastwood because you are regulars?" Amanda tried to save the situation. "We did not know who he was. If you had known, you would have left him alone," Giovanni finished for her. "But because you thought he was just an old man, you felt entitled to his table, and my manager agreed with you." The silence in the restaurant was absolute. 80 people watched as the scene unfolded. No one was eating, no one was talking, everyone was frozen. Giovanni turned to address the entire restaurant. "Ladies and gentlemen, I owe you all an apology. Tonight you have witnessed something that goes against every value this restaurant stands for. A customer with a confirmed reservation was asked to move because someone without a reservation believed they were more important. That customer was Clint Eastwood, but that is not why what happened was wrong. It was wrong because we treat all customers with respect, regardless of who they are." He looked at the Hastings. "You need to leave. You are not welcome tonight, and you will not be welcome in the future." Richard began to protest. "Wait a moment. Leave. Now." They left. The door closed behind them, and for a moment the silence continued. Then someone started clapping, then another. Within seconds, the entire restaurant was applauding, not for the drama, but for the principle, because Giovanni had stood up for what was right. Giovanni returned to Clint's table. "Mr. Eastwood, your dinner tonight is on me. It is the least I can do." Clint shook his head. "I will pay for my dinner, Giovanni, but thank you for handling this the way you did." Your manager made a mistake," Clint said. "The question is whether he learns from it." Kyle Eastwood arrived 20 minutes later. By then, the restaurant had returned to its normal volume, although everyone in the room was still commenting on what they had witnessed. Clint and Kyle dined quietly. They talked about Kyle's musical projects and Clint's latest film work, and enjoyed their meal. In Giovanni's office, Marcos Webb sat ashamed, waiting to learn his fate. Giovanni entered after the Eastwoods had left and sat heavily in his chair. "You asked Clint Eastwood to move tables." "I did not recognize him, and even if I had, the Hastings are good customers." "They were good customers," Giovanni corrected him. "They are not welcome again, and neither are you, Mr. Russo. I was trying to make a good business decision." "Good business decision?" Giovanni's voice rose. "You told a customer with a reservation that other people were more important. You prioritized people without a reservation over someone who had planned ahead. You judged a man by his appearance and decided he was not valuable. That is not business vision, that is discrimination." "It was not my intention to discriminate." "Intention does not matter when the impact is clear. You asked an 89-year-old man to leave his table and go to the bar because you thought a flashy couple was more important. What you did tonight is exactly what I have avoided for 15 years in this restaurant." Marcos was fired that same night. Sophia, the hostess, kept her job because Giovanni recognized that she had been uncomfortable with the situation and had tried to resist. News of what had happened spread across West Hollywood within hours. By Sunday morning, there were already social media posts from people who had been there. The story was picked up by local media. Within a week, it was being discussed in restaurant industry forums as an example of what not to do. Bella Note received more reservation requests than ever. People wanted to eat at the restaurant where the owner had put principles before profit. Giovanni instituted a new training program for all staff. Every customer must be treated with the same respect, regardless of appearance, fame, or spending history. The story became part of the restaurant's culture. Marcos Webb eventually found work at another restaurant, but the story followed him. Now he tells it differently. Not as the time I asked Clint Eastwood to move tables, but as the time I learned that a person's appearance or the way they dress says nothing about their value, and that treating people differently based on those judgments is the fastest way to lose integrity and a job. The Hastings tried to return to Bella Note a year later. Giovanni saw them at the door and personally turned them away. "We have not forgotten," he said simply. "Clint still dines at Bella Note from time to time. Giovanni always makes sure his reservation is respected, although Clint does not need special treatment. He just wants a good meal in a quiet place, with people who understand that respect is not reserved for those who look a certain way or spend a certain way." If this story of arrogant customers getting what they deserved, of a manager's mistake that became a lesson for an entire restaurant, and of an owner who chose principles over money has touched your heart, we invite you to subscribe and like. Share this story with those who work in hospitality, with anyone who has been judged by their appearance, or with anyone who needs a reminder that treating people with respect is not negotiable. Have you ever witnessed someone being treated badly because of their appearance and seen justice done? Share your story in the comments.